Two boys were playing in the backyard one day, and their dog, who was known to romp around the neighborhood, came back in their yard with a dead rabbit in its mouth. They could instantly tell that it wasn't just a dead wild rabbit, it was a white rabbit with spots on it, and they recognized it immediately as their elderly neighbor woman's pet rabbit. So they took it to Dad, thinking their dog had killed this rabbit. What do we do? I love this part of the story because he solved it in a dad way. Start thinking, dads. What do you do? He said, just hose it off, put it back in the cage, and she'll never know. That's how dads think. When she comes home, she'll think her rabbit had a heart attack or whatever, and it's no big deal. So they said, we did that, and we watched from the bushes, and when she came home, she went out to the backyard, she saw the rabbit cage, she saw the rabbit in the cage, laying there, and started screaming bloody murder. Like not, oh no, my rabbit's dead, but like this is really crazy bloody murder scream. And Mom and Dad came running out, got her calmed down, and said, what's the matter, what's the matter? And she said, I buried that rabbit 3 days ago. Doesn't make sense. He said to them, Thomas said, look, I'm not believing it. Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, put my fingers where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I'm not going to believe it. In other words, hey, that's a good story. It might be true, but it doesn't really affect me. Because Jesus' power over death doesn't do you any good unless you believe it, okay? And you can understand why Thomas didn't believe this. Jesus' body had been badly mutilated before he ever died. Before he was ever put on the cross, he was almost dead. And it wasn't a case of mistaken identity. Everybody knew that was Jesus on the cross. And it wasn't a case that he might not have been dead because the Roman soldier thrust a spear into his abdomen and pierced the sac around the heart, and water and blood came out separately, which meant he was already dead. The Romans were pretty good at killing people. Make no mistake about it, Jesus was dead, Jesus was buried, the tomb was sealed. So Thomas had logical reasons to say, look, I'm just really having trouble with this story. And that's why we call him Doubting Thomas. But I want you to know, I think we throw Thomas under the bus too much because it's not a sin to have doubts. Doubts can be the motivator to discovering truth. The important thing is, he took his doubts to the right place. Because the next verses say, a week later, the disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them, okay? He was with them. That's what's important here. He was there. If Jesus is going to show up, it's a week later, but if Jesus is going to show up, it's probably back on Sunday night when everybody's together, so he's going to show up and be there with them. And guess what? You are here. However you're listening to me today, you are here. I don't care if you were bribed with candy or ham or whatever, you are here. Because this is a place Jesus might show up. Thomas could have said, no, I don't believe it. I'm going to go watch March Madness, tell Jesus if he wants to pop in and see me, he's welcome to. But he didn't. Thomas was with them the next Sunday night. He knew he wasn't going to miss it if it happened again. And I hope that's where you are. The problem with our doubts, again, is Jesus' power over death only matters if you believe it. Jesus, by this point, has been alive for over a week, and it hadn't done Thomas any good at all because he didn't believe it.